Alice's Quiet Mind Bookstore has everything to soothe your body, spirit, and soul. For more info and directions, visit agapelive.com today.
As the owner of my business, I wear a lot of hats. I'm accounting, sales, and so much more. But I don't know marketing.
Let Dex Media be your marketing department. Our team can create a digital plan for you with everything from search to social. Contact Dex Media, that's DEX Media, to get found, get chosen, and get talked about.
Whoa, that's a job for cleanup, which would be me.
Call 844-230-3436 or visit dexmedia.com today.
Do you have a broken window or rock chip on your vehicle that needs repair? Give us a call at HM Auto Glass, 951-858-5190. HM Auto Glass is your locally owned and operated auto glass specialist, offering low cost and high quality auto glass repair and replacement. We also work with all major insurance companies and offer free mobile service. So call us, 951-858-5190. That number again is 951-858-5190.
Hey! What the? Honey! The water just stopped in here!
They turned it off because you're wasting water!
What? What are you talking about?
You know!
Because you know it's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought, drought. Yeah, it's pretty clear, we're really short on blue. It's time to save it, like we're supposed to do. Some say it's doom, gloom, and all our grass must go. But together we can make it and enjoy our golden state. It's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought, no water. It's all about that drought.
From the mountains to the desert to the oceans to all across America, back to sunny California, and it is sunny today. And also going down to El Cajon. Welcome to the Water Zone Show on KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. I'm your host, Rob Starr. And unfortunately, or fortunately, my co-host, Mr. Mike Barron, is taking the night off to go and sneak home and surprise his bride of 30 plus years and take her out to a nice dinner because she never gets to see him on time early. So that's what he's doing tonight. So I hope everybody has a happy Thursday and welcome to the show again. Just some quickie news. We'll give a little bit here and then we'll turn it over to our Ag, because today's Ag Show. Well, 2 feet of snow is expected across northern Sierra Nevada this week, and that's according to the National Weather Service. It says a series of storms passing over northern California is expected to drench residents in rain and dump up to 2 feet of snow on the northern Sierra Nevada. And that's pretty cool because people want to go skiing. A gentleman named Frank Gerke, who's the chief of the California Cooperative Snow Surveys Program for the Department of Water Resources, he was researching previous years when other major droughts were widely considered to have ended, which was basically 1938, 1978, and 1993. And in each case, the Sierra snowpack, and that's the source of 1/3 of California's water supply, was roughly 150% of the historic average. And precipitation levels at 8 key weather stations in Northern California, located watersheds that feed Shasta, Oroville, Folsom, other major reservoirs, also was between 130 and 150% of normal. So his conclusion is if California receives 150% snowpack by this April and 150% of normal precipitation in the north, that should be enough to fill the biggest reservoirs and probably end the drought. So I guess the question is that everybody's going to ask us, so how do we know when it's really going to be over? Well, simply put, the drought could end this year, and that's what state officials are saying. But for this to happen, just we all got to know this, as California enters the 5th year of the worst drought in our history, rains will have to continue arriving and pounding in relentless waves through April and to fill depleted reservoirs in the dry rivers and push the Sierra snowpack up to at least 150% of normal. You know, 1 week of rain isn't going to make up for 4 years of historic drought, and we are in a very deep hole. So other disasters, you know, it's probably easier to understand that and can put it in comparison to water. You know, everybody knows when a forest fire is contained because we know it stops. We know when an earthquake stops shaking or a tornado has passed. But with our droughts, there isn't widespread agreement among scientists and water managers about what signifies the finish line. California is a huge state, and with many different climates, water sources, and water users. Decent rain over a few months may be enough to grow green grass so that a Sacramento Valley cow rancher's business returns to normal, but it might not fill reservoirs enough, say, up in the Bay Area so they can lift the water conservation rules. Today, last bit of news here before we turn it over, the Brown administration released the 2016 update to the California Water Action Plan. And during a briefing sponsored by the Association of California Water Agencies, Governor Brown reiterated that even though El Nino continues to provide much-needed rainfall and snowpack, California needs unprecedented precipitation through the late winter months to significantly impact the current drought conditions. But his plan includes the following, so we know at least it's going on the right direction. Make conservation a California way of life. Increase regional self-reliance and integrated water management across all levels of government. Achieve the co-equal goals for the Delta. Protect and restore important ecosystems. Manage and prepare for dry periods. Expand water storage capacity and improve groundwater management. Provide safe water for all communities. Increase flood protection, which is really, really important. As we said, previous shows, 90% of the water that falls here in Southern California is headed for the ocean. Increase operational and regulatory efficiency, and identify sustainable and integrated financing opportunities. So that's what's in this plan that he was doing today, and we hope that comes to fruition. So now we're going to turn it over. As I said, this is Ag Day, Ag Week, Agriculture Week, and we're going to turn it over to two of our wonderful specialists down at our micro-irrigation division, Ms. Inge Bukuskoner and Mr. Paul McFarland. Welcome.
Hey, welcome, Rob. That was a great little news flash that you gave us there. Paul and I are down here in El Cajon. Hi, Paul.
Good morning, good afternoon.
And good evening, even. Yeah, thank you, Rob. We are really excited to have a couple of really top-drawer guests with us tonight. We're having a theme of talking about water use in one of California's biggest crops in terms of number of acres and the amount of water it uses. So it's really important that we irrigate that crop correctly, and that crop is alfalfa. Alfalfa is not something that we'll see on the dinner menu at any restaurant or at our homes, but I bet Paul could tell us what alfalfa is used for.
Sure, alfalfa is a forage, green forage crop that's used in the feeding of primarily livestock. Dairy cows use it, obviously, to produce milk and cheese and butter. Cattle, sheep, and other livestock use it to help grow. And very common in California. It's one of the largest crops in the state.
It's hundreds of thousands of acres, in the state, so it is an important one.
I guess I can use that because my wife says I eat like a cow.
Maybe you have alfalfa on your menu.
Maybe
Rob.
Just sprouts, Rob. Alfalfa sprouts.
It's also really good for the soil. It's what it's called. It's a class of plant called the legume, so it actually adds nitrogen to the soil, and so a lot of great things about alfalfa. And our first guest is somebody that knows an awful lot about alfalfa as well, and I'd like to welcome him. Mark, are you on the line?
Yes, I am, Inge.
Oh, fantastic, Mark. Well, Mark Greenwald is the president and CEO of S&W Seed Company in Fresno, California. And S&W provides expertise in ag breeding, production, and processing for the alfalfa and stevia industries. That's another crop that we'll be talking about tonight. Previously, he served as CEO and president and farm manager of Triangle Tea Partners and was responsible for farming operations on 13,000 acres of diversified crops, and also founded his own consulting company and was also COO of S&K Foods. But most notably and most famously, he spent over 26 years in management at the J.G. Boswell Company, one of the country's largest farms. He served as VP of Ranching and as a member of the board of directors during that time, and we're really excited about learning a little bit more about that. Mark earned his BS in agronomy from Cal State University in Fresno, an MA in leadership from St. Mary's College in Moraga, and he remains active in the leadership committee of Cal State University Fresno. So welcome, Mark.
Thank you very much.
Well, Mark, you were actually raised in Southern California before moving to Fresno and becoming a farmer. Maybe you could share a little bit with our listening audience about why farming is such a passion for you.
Well, basically, that's a little bit of misnomer. I was born in Exeter, California, and was raised my early life up in Fresno. So I was in Tulare County, and both my grandfather, my maternal grandfather, and my father owned farms and farmed in the San Joaquin Valley around Exeter and Lindsay. So when my parents would travel, I would spend all the summers up in the valley working on the farms. And as a 12-year-old youngster, I was driving 2-ton loads of peaches and different types of crops to the weight stations for grading from Lindsay to Exeter back in those days. And then my love for agriculture was so great, and the passion to be outside and to watch things grow and to see your results so quickly got me right into agronomy, into Fresno State, and right from there I went right to work for the Boswell Company and took on 33,000 acres right out of school way back in '79. So my passion and love continues for ag and for what it does for the world, especially when you look at the population growth that we're going to have globally. And by 2050, they're projecting 9 billion people on this earth, and we're going to have to figure out a way to feed them.
Mark, this is Paul McFadden. I was just curious, kind of in your career in terms of working 26 years at Boswell and then with the other companies, SK Foods, Triangle Tea Partners, and S&W. Could you maybe give us a little more background in those areas? And obviously, it all builds to where you're at today. But I think it would be interesting for the listeners to hear that as well, and the things that you did in those organizations to help, as you say, help produce more food to feed this hungry world.
Well, it's just the basics was being fortunate enough to attend a high-end university like Fresno State, Cal Poly, and San Luis Obispo and Pomona, and UC Davis, and some of those types of universities are just excellent ag programs. Fresno happened to have in the field capabilities, so you had farm projects. And as an agronomist, which agronomy is the theory and practice of producing row crops, I focused on the row crop area. So through my careers at different companies, mainly I've been working with cotton, tomatoes, alfalfa, quite a bit of alfalfa in both hay and seed production, safflower, wheat, barley, and then mainly annuals that would be rotated every year with the exception of alfalfa, and as a rotation crop, and then how we could improve those soils. And so having the opportunity to spend, in fact, I live in Lemoore, California, and I'm calling in from Lemoore, 35 miles south of Fresno. I'm in the northern corner of the lake bottom of the Tulare Lake, and I've spent over half my life here. So I'm very intimate with the lake and its soil characteristics and the reclamation that's needed to improve those soils, especially to remove water tables and then enhancing the yields of those crops. So I've worked on a number of initiatives in a lot of crops, was instrumental in starting tomatoes in the lake bottom, was instrumental in bringing Pima cotton to the lake, was instrumental in changing into drip irrigation. So currently, if you want to look at a crop like tomatoes, in the olden days, I'll call the old days, 30, 40 years ago, it was all direct seeded, sprinkled up, and furrow irrigated, and now it's almost all under drip irrigation. And these are the types of technologies it's going to take to not only increase yields, but to also feed the world. So with that, I've run tomato operations, onion operations, built an onion plant in Corcoran, California. It's no longer there, but was instrumental in bringing onions, tomatoes, and of course Pima cotton, which is really the last mainstay in California now. It gets us down to 100 to 200,000 acres of ground, and then watched alfalfa become a mainstay in the state. It's currently in the 800 to 900,000 acre range. So it's actually the second largest crop in the state of California, and it's the fourth largest crop in the entire world. The United States produces over 20 to 24 million acres of alfalfa a year. So it's very major, and it's been a passion of mine, especially the seed side, to work in seed companies that could produce and improve the quality traits and the yields of that crop.
Yeah, Mark, we were together at the recent alfalfa conference in Reno chatting about irrigation and water management and different crops. And I remember you saying then, and even in past meetings, that drip irrigation, in your view, just has a great future in California. And you pioneered a lot of that work on cotton and other crops. And maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit. I mean, we've discussed in previous shows how much of the acreage in California, the irrigated acreage, already is in drip, and we've done a good job. You know, we've got 65% of the nation's drip is in California, so we've done a good job of adopting it. But the fact is that there's still about half of the acreage in California is still flood irrigated, and much of it on crops like corn, cotton, and alfalfa, whereas we've done a good job on converting the fruit, nut, and vegetables. But there's an enormous potential, and your work and your pioneering work is very important to take us to the next level. And maybe you can elaborate on how you see that happening in the future, using technologies like drip in those crop categories.
Well, the water resources are forcing efficient use and more efficient use of our natural resources, and we're going to have to work together to enhance that. And I have seen nothing that enhances water use management and helps increase yields in a variety of crops better than drip. And so I think under the proper management guidelines, I don't think there should be a farm in the San Joaquin Valley and in other parts of California that shouldn't be without drip as part of their management tool to allow them to better utilize their water capabilities on their ranches. If you want to take example for onions, when we first put drip in on onions, it basically took 600, 700 sacks per acre. It doubled them. It doubled the yield. It reduced water. It reduced water on that crop from a 3 acre feet per year water usage down to 1.2, less than 1.5 acre feet. So it cut the water use on the crop by 50%. Those are the types of things it's going to take to feed this 9 billion people that are going to be coming on this earth, an additional 2 billion people. So tomatoes, 35-ton yields to 50 to 70 to 80 tons per acre. That's the main driver on that is drip technology. Cotton, we've worked hard on cotton. There is a yield increase. It's more of a function for a farmer to look at where's the best water use for that technology, the best bang for his buck with its resources, because there is a yield increase, but it's not as great as in some of the vegetables or in some other types of crops that can utilize that system buried for a number of years without having to move it or change. So it definitely has a major part and is going to become a bigger impact, I think, in the technology side of this protein play, as well as other types of technologies like solar. You guys mentioned in some of your ads previous to us starting this discussion, storage, water improvements, and that includes the transportation of that, of course, desalination. And so when I look at the big three things for improvements to feed this world, it's the technology that you're involved with in drip, also, pivots and types of sprinkler systems that actually enhance quality. Of course, seed companies and the breeders in both classical breeding and in biotech, and proper soil techniques for soil improvements and reclamation of those soils. And then when you couple that with water quality issues and how to maintain water quality, improve water quality, and utilize water that has high salt type concentrations in it, and to reclaim that, reuse, that all goes into the breeding of varieties like we have in our high salt tolerant varieties. And it's going to take those high-end breeders around the globe and people like yourself with the technologies of how to utilize that the best that are going to allow us to enhance yields on a per acre basis.
Just to switch gears and talk about stevia for a minute in the few minutes we have left, Mark. Tell us a little bit about that and what is it? Where did it come from? Why is it important?
Well, stevia was deregulated under the GRAS program by the USDA, and that GRAS, G-R-A-S, is generally regarded as safe. So it's been a crop. It's from the mint family, indigenous to Paraguay, and it's been around for 60 plus years. But it's the leaf is utilized, and the extraction of that leaf is utilized with roboticides, and the one that most people are aware of or look at is Reb A, and that's the sweetener component of the leaf. So you extract that material from that leaf, and that material is approximately 300 times sweeter than sugar, with 0 calories and 0 glycemic index. So we see that because of the USDA designation in 2008, you're starting to see operations take a look at it and experiment with stevia. What we see at S&W with our team is that we've been working with it since 2009 on pretty good acreage and with a lot of research, is that it does require a lot of water, so we don't know if the production will end up being here. We've done it all on drip. Drip, again, is vital for this, but it's a plant that requires 50 inches of water a year. And you hear the discussions on alfalfa and its water use. Well, alfalfa doesn't use any more water than cotton or tomatoes or spinach or these types of crops. It gets lambasted a little bit, but under drip, these crops will use less. But stevia even uses more water, and it's from a tropical environment. So I see its use as it's grown probably more in the Mississippi, Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina type areas, and maybe down into parts of Texas, into that region, tobacco growing areas, more than I would see it here in the San Joaquin Valley. But we do a lot of research here. We have 3 patent pending varieties as we speak, and we're getting ready to launch a 4th. And we think we've got improved taste that people are going to love. And it's already in about 250 products in the world. It's in, for example, Trop 50/50. But that's a combination because the taste buds of a U.S. consumer still like sugar, and so they're blended products. And we want to get away from that and be able to provide a product that can be 100% used stevia, that it tastes good, but you have 0 calories. And that's the goal.
Wow, that's really exciting. I after I met you, I bought a stevia plant and planted it in my garden, and I bite the leaves every now and then, and it is just a sweetener blast. It's unbelievable how sweet those leaves are. Mark, how can people learn more about S&W Seeds? What's the call letters for?
It's SANW. We're on NASDAQ. We're public, and you can go right to the S&W website. Very easy they look it up and just go S&W Seed Company, and they'll be able to go to the website. It has some tremendous information in there. We are public, so everything about us is available in there, and there's a lot about the company. It's 35 years old.
And any one last piece of advice you would give to farmers that would like to improve their irrigation management practices, and then I think we have to wrap up.
Well, Ingy, I would say that I would as a consultant, agronomist, and a longtime farmer, I would say it's very critical to add technology, especially irrigation-based technologies, into your farm program, as well as selecting the right variety. The varieties of seed production, when you plant seed, at least as an annual or like alfalfa, is only 3% of your entire production costs. And so don't slack on high-quality seed. Get the best seed and the best variety that you can possibly get for your type of soil.
All right. Well, you've heard it from the experts, folks. That's how we're going to go forward in California with our limited water supply and still feed these billions of people that we in this state do so well. Mark, thank you so much for your time this evening and being our guest. We look forward to working with you together in the future on this.
Thank you very much for having me, and thank you, Ingy and Paul. And on behalf of S&W, wish everybody a very happy New Year.
All right. Happy New Year back to you. Well, Rob, do you have?
Yeah, we're going to take a little break, but we just let the audience know they can call in at 909-888-5222, and if you're out of the 909 area code, because we do go across the world, you can dial 888-909-1050, and you can listen to us live streaming at kcaaradio.com. So now we'll take a few words from our sponsor, and then be back to Ingy and Paul. So you continue.
Are your monthly water bills draining your wallet? Then you need Valley Soil, your one-stop expert on water conservation to save you water, time, and most of all, money. With over 35 years of experience, Valley Soil has implemented numerous conservation programs for water districts throughout California. They have performed over 12,000 water audits and installed over 300,000 smart irrigation products for municipalities, residential, and commercial property owners, saving over 293 million gallons of water each year. That's enough to fill 15,000 swimming pools. Their services also include indoor water audits, leak detection, retrofits, reclaimed water systems, and managed water use and data tracking. As certified irrigation auditors and a state-licensed landscape contractor, you can trust them to be knowledgeable about the services you need, products they install, and best practices in water conservation. For an individualized water solution for you, contact them today at 888-268-1009. That's 888-268-1009 or valleysoil.com. Remember, when it comes to innovative ideas to save water, Valley Soil never lets you run dry.
Are you looking for the right place to purchase your landscaping items? Well, come see us at Hydroscape. Hydroscape offers a large selection of irrigation products including Irritrol and Toro, such as their efficient precision nozzles. For 40 years, Hydroscape has been family-owned and operated, serving Southern California. With 17 locations, our knowledgeable and experienced staff is equipped to help you with all your irrigation, landscape, and outdoor living projects. Whether you're installing irrigation systems, wanting to maintain a healthy landscape, or simply create a beautiful lit space for outdoor entertaining, Hydroscape is the place to go. Visit our website at hydroscape.com for more information and find helpful articles on our blog. Or call our customer service center at 1-800-395-4477.
Well, welcome back to the Water Zone Show, and hope everybody's having a good time. Just real quick before I turn back over to Ingy and Paul, just want our listeners to know we had mentioned last week that we want to have another contest because everybody seems to like to win things. Unfortunately, none of us won the lotto because we're all here and working, but congratulations to at least two people we know won. The third is questionable in California, I heard. But we're going to have a contest that's going to start next week, and what it is everybody needs to guess how much rainfall is going to happen in their city. And we're going to ask them to write us and tell us what their guess is, and it's for the time period of February 1 through the 29th, but all the submittals have to be sent in to us by the 15th, and they can go to www.torowatersmart.com and go to the contact section, write your name, address, and your guesstimate of how much rainfall is going to hit your city, and then we'll pick a winner. And again, it has to be no later than the 15th of February, and you'll get a nice dinner package and a night out on the town, so some other surprises we're going to give away. So anyway, back to Ingy and Paul, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Rob. Yeah, we've got another great guest coming up, and that is Daniela Zachariah. He is the Ag Water Management Specialist at UC Davis's Cooperative Extension. I was just with Daniela over the last couple of days in Modesto at a USDA Drought Summit, and Daniela, have you recovered enough to visit with us for 20 minutes or so?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, it was really a great meeting with people from Israel and Australia and all the UC folks. Great discussions on technology, very valuable. So congratulations, Daniela. That was a really valuable conference.
Thank you. It was a large effort, but it was always nice to share expertise from different countries and experience in how to tackle the challenges related to the drought. And I think we have a lot to learn, but also a lot to share.
Yeah, definitely. I found that really valuable, sharing both internally with our own California folks and also the international folks. Mm-hmm. Well, just for our listening audience who don't know you, Daniela, yes, you are the Ag Water Management Specialist with UC Cooperative Extension, specializing in agricultural water management and irrigation. You completed your PhD in Civil and Environmental Engineering at Utah State University and served as scientific officer at the International Center for Advanced Mediterranean Agronomic Studies in your native Italy before joining the UC Davis faculty in 2013. And Daniel, if I'm not mistaken, your current projects include estimating the actual evapotranspiration or the crop water use of vineyards, yep, and also alfalfa,
yes,
and also developing methods of auditing the performance of irrigation systems. So a lot of good work, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about how UC Cooperative Extension works with California farmers to help them use water and other resources efficiently, both in times of drought and otherwise.
Yes. We currently also working in citrus and estimating the water use in citrus with different size and orientation of the canopy, as well as trying to understand also the salinity effect on pistachio water use. So besides vineyards and alfalfa, I'm covering another two very interesting crops. However, I would say that the University of California, I'm very enthusiastic about the organization I belong to, because University of California Cooperative Extension has been for more than 100 years, and I think still is, an engine for problem solving. And it is basically a capillary network of researchers and educators working together to provide science-based information and answer to the people of California. So the way we work is we engage growers and commodity boards and state agencies to solve problems that are locally relevant in the different parts and different areas of agricultural production in California, and problems that are related to the economic of agricultural production, natural resources management, food security, and nutrition. In terms of number, it's a large network, and it consists of 130 campus-based cooperative extension specialists, 200 county-based farm advisor, 700 academic scientists from 4 campuses, and 57 county offices throughout the state, and 9 research and extension centers. So we basically have an army of people working to address a lot of pending issues.
Daniel, this is Paul. I'm just curious, what got you into agriculture, number one, but getting a PhD in civil and environmental engineering in Utah, and then coming to California. You've come quite a ways in your career. I'm just curious how that all transpired.
Well, I actually grew up in an area that is very important in Italy for irrigated agriculture. I come from southern part of Italy, and I grew up with water scarcity problems. My father was the director for 35 years, the technical director of a large water user association, water user organization. So I basically grew up with all the water scarcity problems, and then I thought that could be really a mission for my professional life. So I did a master in irrigation engineering and a PhD in irrigation engineering at Utah State, and then I went back to Italy and for a couple of years, and then I decided that my professional work could get to an higher level challenge. And so what better place than California for an irrigation person?
I'd say that's pretty true.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, people who come to California usually don't ever want to leave. So I think I think we're lucky that you're here and that you'll stay with us to solve our problems. Yeah. Well, I'm excited about the project that we're working on together, Toro and UC, on subsurface drip irrigation on alfalfa at the Russell Ranch near Davis. Can you share with our audience what you hope to learn from those trials? And actually, they're also going to be conducted in the desert in the southern part of the state, in Brawley as well, I believe. So can you kind of give an overview of what you hope to learn from that trial?
Yeah, sure. The subsurface drip irrigation project at Russell Ranch, I have to say that it's a team effort undertaken by a bunch of scientists from the University of California, Davis, and Toro Irrigation, and we plan to investigate the water, energy, and greenhouse gas emission footprint of alfalfa production under surface irrigation and subsurface drip irrigation. We figured out that it's a gap of information for growers and state agencies for the alfalfa production under two different irrigation methods. And also we want to provide baseline information to growers and state agency on the potential of subsurface drip irrigation for increasing water and energy productivity in alfalfa production in California. This is basically the rationale we are working with, and we are about to start this quite relevant project for the drought condition and also for the normal condition. And most of the state agencies like Department of Water Resources and California Department of Food and Ag are interested in getting information from this research project.
That's, with our previous guest, Mark Grewal, you may have heard him say that the significance of alfalfa as a crop in the state and as a country and globally. And I'm just curious, your thoughts on what the impact is of converting existing alfalfa farms that aren't using a drip technology, let's say, or more efficient technology in general. What do you think the impacts would be, and why aren't we seeing the progress in the conversion like we are in some other crops, like tomatoes or strawberries and things of that nature?
Well, the potential impact in terms of water demand and water use could be really significant given the acreage of alfalfa in California, but also given the increase in production that we are learning. Growers are getting through the technology of subsurface drip irrigation. So, I would say probably if subsurface drip irrigation gets adopted by more growers, more alfalfa growers, we're gonna see a significant increase in alfalfa production for the same amount of acreage, and we're gonna see probably a significant increase in water productivity. That means more crop per drop and per unit land in alfalfa production. And I would say that we don't have to forget that alfalfa is not a production sector by itself, but it is really functional to the number one industry in California, in agricultural industry in California, which is the dairy. And so if you see a significant impact in the alfalfa production, you're going to see a carry forward impact also in the dairy, for the dairy industry, in terms of either reduction of production cost or increase in economic benefit of the dairy industry.
Well, that's pretty significant considering how large a footprint the alfalfa water use has. If we can make it more productive and then also protect our biggest crop, or the cheese industry, the dairy industry, the milk industry, that's pretty important work. Yeah. What sort of challenges do you think farmers will have to overcome to accomplish this adoption, if it proves out as we expect it will in the trials? Because we've actually seen already some good results in production acreage, but we're hoping these trials will help us learn even more. What sort of challenges do you foresee that your team will have to help the growers overcome?
I would say probably one of the biggest challenge is a management of this new technology in the field, especially when growers come from a surface irrigation method. This new technology requires better skills by the irrigator. And so this I would say is probably the biggest challenge, and so we have to do additional effort in order to support growers that undertake this technology. And there are a few other problems that somehow limit the adoption of this technology. One big problem is for sure rodent, and we have seen growers that are very enthusiastic in the first year, and then start probably being a little bit concerned in terms of how to manage and how to avoid rodent in this subsurface irrigated field. And so we're putting additional effort in addressing the rodent management for California growers. And there is also some other challenge, because the subsurface drip irrigation was very successful in the last probably 15 to 20 years in tomato production. But tomato is a crop that is totally different with respect to alfalfa, and so it's a row crop, and so drip irrigation was basically conceived for row crop. Now we are adopting this technology in a crop that really is broadcast all over the crop area, and so there are some engineering aspects that need to be really tailored, and some design and management aspect of the systems that need to be really addressed in order to broaden the adoption of this technology for alfalfa growers.
Thank you. Just one thing kind of strikes me. You've had obviously a lot of experience globally working with farmers. I think our listeners might be interested to hear what your thoughts are, your experience has been with growers, say, in the San Joaquin Valley of California versus growers in Italy, and how they differ. Are they similar, or more willing to adopt new technologies, less willing? I'm just curious what your thoughts are there.
Yeah. Well, I remember before when I joined UC Davis, I had the chance of interacting with a few other irrigation specialists, and they told me, "Oh, don't worry, you're going to be okay in California, because California is really it's a candy shop for an irrigation engineer." Well, as soon as I joined, it was really the second year of drought in 2013, and then it came the third year of drought and the fourth year of drought. So really, California is a candy shop for people with my profile, but all the candies are hot and spicy. They're burning. So it's California agriculture is really challenging, and what the main difference that I've seen with respect to all the different countries that I worked, and it's not only Italy but also Northern African country, Middle Eastern country, is that in all these areas, agriculture is highly subsidized and highly regulated by a multitude of state agencies, and it also has the more social related component. In California, farmers face the challenge of the two main challenges. One is the economic viability of their farming activity, and also the second challenge is the long-term environmental sustainability. So those are, I think, bigger challenges, and the scale of agricultural production and the scale of farms in California is much larger than all the other countries and places that I work, and so this is really a different a different production sector. When a production sector is subsidized, then growers are tied to their production and to the economic cost of the production, but not so concerned. And instead, in California, farmers struggle with the challenge of keeping the production costs low and dealing with limited and often impaired water supplies. So this is, to my short experience in California, which is basically for the last 3 years I've been working in California. That's what I perceived. That's what I understood. But I'm in a steep learning curve. So probably there's more work to be done in order to understand the overall picture.
Yeah, you certainly did arrive during an interesting time. These are the 4 driest years that I can remember, and I think this is the worst drought that any of us in our generation have experienced. So kudos to you for hanging in there and lending your expertise to help us. People say that this is the new normal, and we just need to pretty much get used to having big swings in drought and also then in floods. Would you do you agree with that? That we're probably just going to have to, from here on out, even if we get a lot of rain and the drought goes away, that we will have to pretty much have a new normal?
I would agree with that statement. In the first few months on the job here in California, I tried to understand really the main challenges, and I read a lot of reports, and I read a lot of I went through a lot of data, and I figured out that drought is recurring every so often in California. So it's not really an emergency, and so I would say should not even be called drought anymore. It should be called water scarcity, and the water scarcity concept deals with a normal situation. If we call it drought, in my perception, we give the idea that it's an emergency with respect to a different average, or it's an emergency with respect to a different situation that is the baseline situation. Here, it looks like California goes in cycle and fluctuates from drought to flood, and so probably it's part of our climate now, and so we have to be used to deal with I would say a more permanent water scarcity and be prepared for highly variable situation in the future and even more severe drought. And so I would say I would agree with the statement that it's the new normal, but probably might even get a little bit worse or might get a little bit better. But this fluctuation the recurrent fluctuation is really a constraint for growers to do additional investment in their field. So we at the University of California Cooperative Extension, we are making a large effort in outreaching continuously information about the state of the drought during the last 4 years, and so and to inform growers that they have to be prepared to this new normal. So I would agree with your statement.
Yeah, and you mentioned that other countries, they got some subsidies to help with adoption of technology, and of course, the state of California. Our last guest was Carolyn Cook from CDFA talking about the SWEEP program. That was a month ago. And I know you're really involved in that, and maybe you can comment on whether you think that program is going to help us move the needle forward in becoming better water managers in our state.
I would say yes. The California Department of Food and Agriculture is really making a good effort in improving the water use efficiency. Again, I perceive that even from the state agency, these droughts are considered emergency. So those funds are emergency money that I would say probably we have to move towards a more regular program to assist grower and to support technically the growers in how to use a more effective irrigation management, more efficient methods in the near future. So, but the SWEEP program as started in 2014, as continued in 2015, will be going on in 2016, and probably will become a permanent funding program for agricultural producers.
Danielle, in the last few minutes that we have, perhaps you'd just like to tell the audience a little bit of, from your perspective, how do you think, or what do you think we should be doing as a state to allow farmers or incentivize farmers to move towards this new technology and system of water management, both at the UC level and at the state level? I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that.
Okay, in during this part of the year, we are the University of California Cooperative Extension has started talking with the state agency and coordinating with the state agency in order to come up with a concerted and coordinated effort to for a statewide training of irrigator for the use of this new technology and devices in the field to assist and to allow a more effective irrigation system management. So this is one side of the picture. Also, we are also coordinating with the state agency in order to get a more accurate information on how is the situation in terms of irrigation efficiency in the different parts of the state. The Department of Water Resources is about to launch another irrigation survey with 20,000 questionnaires that will be spread through CDFA, and so we're gonna collect the information, analyze the information in order also to understand where are the areas where there's more room for improving water use efficiency, agricultural water use efficiency in the state. So I think we're doing what is needed to do. Of course, there's always something that we could do better, but at the same time, we also get engaged in several other statewide projects, and so I would say we're doing quite a bit of work that needed to be done. I don't think we should do all the work for drought management during the drought period. That's because we have always this idea of emergency situation. Instead, we should plan ahead of time during non-drought period how to face the next drought cycle. And so this is what was discussed with USDA, ARS, and other university in California. So this is the reason why we came up with a drought management workshop in order to get a baseline information on how can we develop a drought preparedness initiative for the next drought cycle. So we wanted to remove The idea that drought is an emergency, and we want to work on drought management during non-drought period. That's the next step.
Well, that sounds like a noble effort. Well, Danielle, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Your valuable time on the heels of a very hectic week, I'm sure, for you with hosting this conference. We hope to have you back sometime soon and hear about the progress.
Okay, it will be my pleasure to try to contribute to this effort. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. In the meantime, we'll hope for more rain, and in the meantime, we'll also learn on how to deal with no rain. So, Bob, we'll hand it back to you.
Great, you had super guests and great information, and boy, I enjoy listening to that.
Yep, they're interesting people, aren't they?
Absolutely.
They're very passionate people that are all working together to help us feed this hungry world, in different areas that you wouldn't think of, from alfalfa to stevia to all these different things, from Italy to right there in the Central Valley of California. So.
It's amazing that it gets more noticeable when there's a drought and when there's a crisis, but it goes on all the time. People just don't know about that. Anyway, for listening folks, don't forget we're going to do this contest. It's going to start on February 1st, and it's going to go through the 29th. You need to guess how much water rainfall is going to happen in your city, and you need to send that into www.torowatersmart.com under the contact section. Write your name, how much water you think is going to be by the end of the month, and then we're going to pick a winner who will get a nice dinner out and a special activity that will be paid for by the Water Zone. And that's about wrapping it up for tonight, and we'll see you next week, same place, same Bat Channel and KCA 1050 AM and 106.5 FM. Everybody have a great week. Thanks again, Ingy and Paul, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
All right. Thank you.
Rob.
Thank you, Rob. Bye-bye.
This is 1050 AM KCAA Loma Linda and 106.5 FM Yucaipa.
Did you know Cover California can help you find a low-cost quality healthcare plan that's absolutely right for you and your family? Did you know there's coverage for unexpected emergencies and everyday aches and pains? Did you know free preventative care like blood pressure and cholesterol screenings are also provided to stop small problems from getting bigger? Well, now you know.
It's more than just health care. It's life care. Visit CoverageCA.com to find free, local, in-person help or enroll online. Enroll by January 31st to avoid the IRS tax penalty.
Call the dogs and put out the fire. This is Baxter Black with a little peek at Wolf recipes. What holds the loaded 30,000-pound trailer to the heavy-duty truck? What holds the 38-foot RV trailer to the dually? What holds the 2-horse trailer with your daughter's favorite pony to the half-ton pickup? Well, the odds are it's a B&W trailer hitch, probably a turnover bowl. American-made, employee-owned, customer-tuned, and proud of their part in America's greatness. B&W.